Hello and welcome back to Northern Lights. We will be continuing where we left off, which, if you recall, is after Cody finally got to the town that he was going to go to. I don't think that they actually gave the name yet. Last we saw, he was basically leaving what I guess could be called an abusive home, where his father pushed him to do, pushed him to do a lot of things that he didn't want to, just so that he could claim it as his accomplishments and whatever. And I'm pretty sure that the final straw, which was that, he couldn't go, no, that he didn't want to go to a Catholic school, wasn't the only thing that was, going on. Because he did hint at something else being, like, bad or something like that. Like, if people found out that they probably wouldn't like him anymore or something, I don't know. He said goodbye to his two friends, Liam and Tobin, who it was evident that he was very close to them. And the three of them would often, I guess, film movies. And before they left, they had a little seafood thing. I forgot what it's called. We don't really have those things over here in California. We have seafood, just not what is it called? The crawfish thing. Boil. Seafood boil. Yeah. But yeah. So, and they showed their final film, I guess, that they did prior to him leaving. And everybody liked it, etc., etc. Yeah. So yeah, Cody is finally at his destination. But yeah, so I guess without further ado, let us see what this town holds for Cody. Also, we will be finally introduced to the other, I guess you could say, main character, or at least the one that will be hanging out with Cody. By the next morning, I was sitting in the motel office, reading over the morning paper, eyes wandering through the classifieds, looking for any job opening that might be able to get me started on immediately. They've got a rental store near here? Man, that'd be perfect. The badger behind the desk told me how to get to the store in the town's heart, and after freshening up, off I went. Following the directions to the letter, keeping my head straight, doing everything that I could think of to start my new life off in a good way. The town square was one of the most unique places that I've ever been to. Each building looked as though it could fit right in with a good spaghetti western, if not for the modern signage and electricity. Video Den stood proudly on one of the corners, and it was the most colorful, tall windows filled with posters, community flyers, and a help wanted sign. A banner hung under the second floor window, reading "Welcome Back, Pioneers." Wasting no time, I slipped into the store and felt at home almost immediately. The scent of popcorn in the air, the sound of a movie playing nearby. An enormous wolf was standing behind the counter, going through a box of overnight returns. "Good morning." The wolf's voice was deep, but had a pleasing calmness to it. He smiled for a moment, eyeing me up before going back to the tapes. "Good morning." I continued to look around, almost forgetting the reason that I even came to the store in the first place, until the wolf spoke up once again. "Say, I don't think I've ever seen you before. New in town?" "Yes, sir. Just got in yesterday, actually." "Ah, a freshman then. Well, welcome to our little town. Anything in particular you're looking for?" "Yeah, actually. I saw your help wanted ad in the paper. I think it'd be a good idea for me to start off on the right paw here." The wolf slid a tape into the rewinder and moved closer to me. The lupine was distinctly taller, almost a foot above. He made me emphasize with Tobin's height challenges. He seemed to eye me up and down, sizing me up. "Name's Vincent, and what would be yours, pup?" "Cody, sir." "Couple of questions to get out of the way first. Do you know a lot about movies?" "Yeah, a good bit. Back in Nolans, I was part of a film club. Made a lot of my own films with friends." "Always happy to see a fellow film enthusiast around." "Any prior experience working on a register, or retail for that matter?" "No, sir. Well, I worked a cash box at school sporting events, selling snacks and such, but I'm real quick with math." Vincent was hard to read. I couldn't really tell any way or the other if he was pleased with my answers so far. All I knew was that he was keeping his eyes fixed on me. "Well, you say you make movies. Got any other hobbies?" "I enjoy drawing. Do quite a bit of it to plan my scenes." And just for fun, perhaps when I take the lay of the land too for map making. I smiled, hoping my answers were good ones, standing a little too stiffly upright as the wolf continued to size me up. It felt like an uncomfortably long silence, as if the owner was looking at something about me that I couldn't see. An artist, you say? Tell you what, I never mind training a young pup, especially one that is already a film enthusiast. But I'll need a little more out of you, if you want the job. I'm running a special this week on the horror films, half off on the rental fee. If you draw me something to promote it in a fun way, consider yourself hired. I'd be delighted to, sir. The wolf motioned with a paw and I followed close behind, watching as he pulled a box out of pastel chalks from underneath the main counter, then gestured to the door. There's a chalkboard above the night drop box. Show me what you got. With an enthusiastic nod, I grabbed the box and wandered outside. It didn't take me long to come up with what I thought was a good idea. After a mere 15 minutes, I'd drawn it out. An impressive and rather intimidating drawing of Freddy Krueger, the lion, slashing the rental fee in half, as well as a twist on the sinister rhyme. 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. 3, 4, better rent some more. Just as Vincent stepped outside to check on my progress, a fox wandered over to check out the sign. Horror movies are discounted? Awesome! Do you still have that one in? Yes, sir. We have several. First shelf straight ahead, on your left. The wolf was smiling at me, and for the first time I didn't feel like he was sizing me up, which is a rather nice feeling. Not bad, pup. Not bad at all. You got time to start now, or do you need to get settled into the dorm first? The question caused a lump in my throat. I was hesitant to bring it up. Well, yeah, I'd be delighted to start now. Don't actually have a dorm room though. Could barely afford the tuition and books. No dorm? Where are you staying? There it was again. The gaze that felt like he was looking at more than just my figure, seeing something that I couldn't, and I wondered if he was just great at spotting a liar. Old Pine Motel? There was an awkward moment of silence as the wolf seemed to mull something over in his head. He briefly glanced past me at the artwork, then back down to me, flashing a quick smile. I can trust you, right? You'll be a good pup, treat our customers with kindness, and keep lending your art talents? Yes, sir. I promise I won't let you down. His questions had me feeling hopeful. I'd have a job at the very least, already an improvement in my eyes as I worked to distance myself further from my paw and more into a life of my own. For a moment, I felt connected to Vincent, like we were on the same wavelengths. I could almost sense that his trust in my words was growing by the second. Tell you what, normally I wouldn't even offer this, but I see a promise in you. Could be a real great asset to my little shop. So, I've got a special, one-time offer for you. If you're willing to work for half wages, you can have the little apartment above the store. It's not much, but it sure beat being on the streets when the winter comes. Deal? My eyes went wide with shock as I nearly jumped out of my fur with excitement, never having considered this morning could have gone as well as it had. Pa always told me that I'd find nothing but failure in my life if I didn't stick to his plan. Yet here I am, proving him wrong. Maybe there's hope for me yet. The wolf was extending me a lifeline, a solid chance to keep making something of myself. I'd be a fool to say no. Vincent was smiling at me. Surely he could tell how enthused I was by the offer. Are you serious? Deal! Well, welcome aboard. Let's get started with your training. You can get moved in tomorrow. Just need to tidy up there first. I've been using it as storage for some stuff. Vincent spent the better part of the morning training me, going over every single detail of the job and tasks that needed doing. It was a little overwhelming at first, but I refused to let him down. As an employee, you're entitled to 1 free rental a week. I'll also be giving a new release to watch the day before we put them out, so you can be better informed for our customers. Once you got your semester scheduled, let me know what it is. We'll see about working your hours into it in a fair manner and try to keep your free days as your days off. My first shift was going quite well after that, loving the compliments that I was getting about my artwork and setting into my role. By mid-afternoon, I seemed a natural for the job, looking like I'd already been doing it for years. As I went about shelving some movies, I was unaware someone outside had stopped dead in their tracks and hurried inside. Cody? Is it really you? A familiar, though a more mature voice filled my ears. The sound of it made my heart skip a beat, and I turned to face the speaker. At the sight of him, my mind wandered backwards to the best summer vacation in my life. It had been 8 years come and gone since that fateful July. The first 2 days of summer camp had been the worst. I felt so nervous all the time, far from home, afraid to try and make new friends. But by the third day, I was approached by Aldric, the confident and friendly German shepherd, who was able to make me feel at ease almost instantly. We became fast friends, and day by day, I would hang out with Aldric even more the day before. We'd fall behind on hikes just so that we could talk more, spurred each other on in competitive activities like archery, climbing, and tag football. After the first week, I was like an entirely different person, actually filled with confidence by my true self. Even Aldric had been opening up right before my eyes, talking more about himself, filled with so much joy that I could practically feel it radiating off of him. It was during our second week that we decided to break the #1 rule of camp: don't leave the grounds. "Hey Cody, wake up." Groggily, I rolled over on my bunk, looking at the silhouette of the shepherd in the doorway. "Come on, sleepyhead, don't tell me you forgot." "I didn't. I was just faking." Aldric flashed a toothy smile, easily spotting my lie, but it didn't seem to deter him one bit, motioning with a paw. "Took a while for the counselor's cabins to go dark, but it's all clear now. Come on." "Where are we going, though?" "I told you, going to the lake for a private swim." Hurriedly, I slipped into my swim trunks and wandered out of the cabin, yawning into the night as I stretched my arms towards the sky, whiskers twitching as I continued to shake off the sleep. Quietly, Aldric led me further and further from the camp, up to the wooden fence that served as the camp border. "Come on, I'll give you a boost." The shepherd pressed his back against the fence and cupped his paws together in front of him. I didn't even hesitate, stepping up, allowing Aldric to push me up, grasping the top of the fence and clambering over. "Get clear, gonna toss my bag over." A few seconds later, the shepherd's bag landed near me, with a heavy thud, no doubt filled with some snacks and towels. The sound of his running filled me with excitement. With a grunt, Aldric grasped the fence top and pulled himself over. We wandered into the forest, accompanied by the hooting of an owl, the crickets swinging, and the sounds of a lake lapping the shoreline, growing louder with each passing minute. "You're never gonna believe what I found. I heard about it last summer from another camper. He's just been waiting for the perfect moment to go. Feels kind of exciting, being outside the camp. I don't reckon that I'd be happy here if it wasn't for you. Camp just seems kind of boring." "Man, you have no idea. 3 years now my parents have sent me here. First year was fun. But then the camp got stricter about stuff. Made it safer. Made it boring if you ask me. Hell, we used to have arrows with real tips on them. Now we just got those stupid blunt ones that can't hardly punch into hay. First time here, you gotta climb real rocks. Now it's just that dumb wall." "That sounds way more fun. My pa would have a fit if he found out about that." After a good 15-minute walk, we made it at last. Aldric pushed through a bush first, his smile greeting me as I came through. My eyes went wide with excitement and delight at where he'd brought me. It was a small private sandy shore on the lake's edge, looking like it had been untouched for ages. A lone cabin sat at the stilts over the water, looking worse for wear, the remnants of a bonfire circle still lingering like a tombstone in the memory of fun that used to be. Whoa, what is this place? Used to be part of the camp, before I started coming here, back when campers got to actually enjoy more of the lake, boating without tethers, fishing, lots of stuff. Plus, there's that. The shepherd pointed off the shoreline at a floating platform 15 feet away, which held an elevated diving board allowing for all sorts of fun. But why did they stop coming here? Dunno, probably part of them trying to be safer. But now it's all ours. We can come here every night if we want. Our secret spot. Race you to the platform? Aldric cocked a toothy grin at the challenge, setting the bag down by the bonfire ring, getting into a starting stance. Count it off on 3. 1, 2. With the lunge, Aldric started off before I finished the count. Hey! Hurriedly, I charged after Aldric, lagging behind as we ran along the dock. The shepherd was the first to jump in, and I was hot on his heels, diving in soon after. Staying below the surface deep enough that Aldric probably couldn't hear me charging past in the water. I made for the floating platform, popping up with a laugh only a few seconds later, waving at the shepherd barely halfway to me. "Hurry up, slowpoke." "Hell, I wish I was as fast as you. Go for a dive. I can see you good from here." "Alright." I didn't even hesitate to climb the old rickety ladder on the platform up to the diving board, not even wasting a second to make sure that it was safe. After a run, I leaped off the edge of the board, swan diving into the lake with finesse. Surfacing with a gasp and a giggle, I looked around for the shepherd. "What do you think?" Aldric?" The shepherd burst forth from under the water with a playful bark, lunging on top of me, forcing me back underwater. I didn't even have a chance to shriek as I found myself under the surface again, hurriedly going back up to meet with Aldric's laughter. I wasn't even mad, soon laughing along with him. "Meanie." "Nah, it's fun. You should have seen your face." With a huff, I batted the water hard with an arm, splashing water over Aldric, giggling with delight before turning to float on my back. "Go on then, it's your turn." "Sure. Let me show you how a pro does it." Aldrich swam over to the platform and climbed out of the water. Heading up to the diving board, running along the buoyancy surface, cannonballing off the edge. He landed with such an impact that it splashed up a mighty torrent of water, which showered me completely. It felt like an eternity of joy as we played in the water, taking turns to dive again and again, challenging each other to breath-holding contests. I always won, of course, but it didn't make it any less fun. Eventually, we both climbed onto the platform, laying down on the wet wood, staring at the bright starry night sky, catching our breath as the warm summer air washed over us. "What do you think? Best part of camp?" "Yeah, let's come here every night. Don't gotta just swim, we could just, do other stuff." "Sounds good to me." A shooting star streaked across the sky, making us both gasp at the sight of it. Closing my eyes, I made a wish, enjoying the sound of Aldric sighing, relaxing into complete happiness. "What did you wish for?" "Can't say. Won't come true if I did." "Well, if I made a wish, it'd be for us to be friends forever. Don't need a wish for that, though. Already true." "Really?" "Of course. Even when we gotta go home, we can write each other. Look forward to camp again." There was a hint of sadness in his eyes as I glanced over at the shepherd, reminded of something that I hadn't brought up before. I don't think that I can come again. My pa won my stay in a charity raffle." "Well, then we'll just have to write each other more. Guess when we're old enough we can meet up again. Start hanging out." "Promise?" "Promise." We both went quiet for a while after that, just enjoying the night sky, basking in the afterglow of freedom from all the rules of camp. Every night afterwards, we came back to our secret spot. We'd swim more. Aldric taught me how to play a few card games. Each night ended with a new tradition, sharing a ghost story. Aldric always seemed to favor mine, told me that it was cool hearing about all the swamp monster stories that I had to share. On our final night of camp, we were laying on our private beach for the last time. Aldric sighed softly and glanced over at me, a curious look on his face. "Hey, Cody? How come you're so good with your stories?" "Reckon it's 'cause I live them." "What do you mean?" "My two friends back home, we started sneaking into a movie theater, watching all the scary stuff that we ain't supposed to. We started making our own movies. It's so much fun, coming up with all the spooky stuff. Got this book on effects. I don't understand a lot of it yet, but it's fun doing what I can figure out. Can make fake blood, slime, and lots of other stuff now. I wish that I could see them. I wish that you could be in one." "Really? What would I do?" Looking at Aldric, I began to size him up. His shape, character, overall appearance, quickly making up my mind on what role that I'd write for Aldric. "The hero." "Aw, that's no fun. I want to be the monster." "I can make you a monster then." The thought of having him in one of my movies was weirdly exciting. Everything about Aldrich was exciting to me. He was so different from life back home. My friends meant the world to me, but the shepherd was so different. Everything from the way he spoke, his life, where he was from, it was all fascinating. He was the first person in my life, not even my friends, that I felt comfortable being entirely honest with. The next morning, as we were being loaded onto different buses, was the first time that I ever felt so sad about leaving camp, going about checking my bag to make sure that I'd packed everything back in. "Cody!" Aldrich shouted out, running across the cabin yard to greet me. "I wanted to give you something. I almost forgot." He fished around in his pocket, pulling out a small cracked, open geode. It glistened with a vibrant array of black, deep blue, and white crystals, my eyes going wide at the sight of it. "But, don't you want it?" "Nah, I know you got a dud, so you can have mine. Something to remember me by." He handed over the geode, and I twisted it gently, letting the crystals shimmer in the light. "It's so cool, though." "Not as cool as you." Aldrich smiled brightly, playfully punching me in the arm. I hardly noticed as I continued to admire the geode. "Don't forget to write. I want to hear more about your movies." One of the counselors called out for the lingering campers to hurry up and get on the buses. "I will, as soon as I get home." Sitting on my bus, I felt the pang of sadness again, staring out the window watching Aldrich's bus rolling away, sending him on his journey back home. I'd never forgotten the summer together. For a couple of years, we sent letters back and forth, talking about this and that, silly little things. At least until 8th grade, when Aldrich's letters stopped coming. I always wondered if he was mad at me or forgot about me. I stopped sending letters only a month after he stopped, doing my best not to dwell on the friendship that had drifted apart. Yet I never gave up all hope. In an instant, I remembered why this town sounded so familiar. How could it not? The same town that I'd mailed so many letters to not so long ago. Here he was, standing in front of me, bigger, strikingly handsome, with an all too familiar smile on his face that filled my heart with warmth. The look in my eyes must have been enough. Aldrich pulled me into a hug, the height difference between us planting my muzzle squarely into his exposed chest fluff. I couldn't get another word out, trapped in a hug that even Liam couldn't match, face pressed into the soft, thick fur of the shepherd's muscular chest. Unable to breathe anything except for Aldrich's unique earthen musk, it had a heat and spice to it that reminded me of a crackling campfire, comforting, safe. Finding myself frozen in the moment, I could have happily stayed there forever, securely held by the shepherd, the pleasant summer camp memories still lingering, and the hug washed away all the homesickness in my heart. "Oh man, I can't believe it's really you." The words slipped right past my ears, still lost in an embrace. I didn't want it to end. Seeing him now took a weight off my shoulders that I'd been carrying all summer. After what felt like a short amount of time, Aldrich let me free from his grip, taking in the full view of me as I took in his. I was quite glad in the moment my shorts were on the looser side, lest they reveal the swelling the hug had caused. There was no doubt that I had an immediate attraction to Aldrich. "Dude, we have got so much catching up to do." Aldrich cocked a toothy smile, taking the moment of closeness to further take in how well puberty had treated me since last we met. "I just can't believe it." "Can't believe what?" "I thought there was a reason that I knew the name of this town. It's because of you. You're really here." Feeling flustered, it was hard to make eye contact. The hug and seeing him again made my ability for restraint slip away. The dog was still beaming, no doubt happy to know that I still remembered him so fondly. "Of course I am. What about you, though? If you're working here, does that mean that you're here to stay?" "Yeah, I just got in from Nolans yesterday, going to college here." There was a gentle, albeit abrupt, cough, Vincent drawing our attention from the end of the aisle. The cough made Audric lower his ears in brief shame. "Heck, sorry, Vincent." "Want to catch dinner with me after your shift? My treat." I reckon I'd love that. I get off at 6. "Meet me at the Lodgepole Grill then. See you again real soon, Cody." The shepherd gave me a far shorter, but just as tight hug before wandering off, his bushy tail wagging a mile a minute. Vincent came over with a kind smile giving me another small basket of movies to her shelf, looking over through the window at Aldric heading out of sight. I take it you two know each other? Yeah, we met at summer camp quite a few years back. Well, Aldric is good people. You certainly have good taste in friends. I'm really impressed with how quick you're taking to the job, Cody. Almost like you were meant for it. I want you to come over early tomorrow, round 8. Should be enough time to get your things dropped and we can continue your training. You got it, boss. Thank you again. It means so much to me the way you's helping me out. Please call me Vinny, and think nothing of it. Enjoy your dinner with Aldric. With that, I left my first shift almost in a run, beyond excited to meet up with Aldric again. When I woke up that morning, I never could have imagined how well the day would go. For the first time, I felt like I might actually enjoy living here. Logpole Grill was an unassuming little drive-in restaurant. Its neon establishments were minimal. It wouldn't be considered eye-catching if not for the crowd. But the grill never needed to be eye-catching to stay alive. Its great food, friendly service, and killer milkshakes were more than enough to make the local hotspot. It was just past 6 and the whole place was a real hotbed of activity. Families, teens, and even a few apparent tourists were gathered around, enjoying the offerings and good company. It all gave me a feeling of being back at home, a strong sense of community, one place where everyone could come together, wash away the day with good food and good company. I watched with delight at the sight of the car hops on roller skates working their way through the cars and crowds of customers. But it was the intoxicating smell of good food and the promise of dinner with Aldric that pulled me in from the street. Aldric called me over from his truck. I swear that he looks even more handsome than he was in the store, like he'd taken the time to go the extra mile with his grooming before a friendly dinner. Hey, how'd your first shift go? Really good. Real swell even. Come on, let's get something to eat and grab a seat. We've got so much to chat about. Aldric was very polite about paying for my food, but I was still modest, ordering a basket of fish and chips, while he got himself a rather juicy-looking chicken burger and a strawberry malt. We wandered over to his truck, taking a seat in the bed. It made us sit close, bumping against each other, but I wasn't exactly going to complain, taking a bite of the surprisingly moist, well-cooked fish before wiping my maw with a napkin. So, what degree you going for? General arts. Ain't really a film degree, but I'd reckon that it'll do. At least, get most of the basics done if I want to transfer. What about you, though? Been a while. I'll be starting this year as well. Going to try for the football team. Should do well. Was quarterback for the high school. Won state 2 years in a row. Aldric smiled when he admitted his athletic prowess, tail wagging proudly. I'd never really considered myself into jocks before, but knowing who Aldric was, before he became one, made him that much more appealing. Whoa, you took state? No wonder you look so good. Immediately I bit my tongue, darting my eyes away from the conversation, staring off into the distance, hoping that the shepherd wouldn't take it as anything more than a friendly compliment. Well, the football helps. I'd like to take runs in the morning also. You could join me sometime. Could show you around. Like the sound of that. Could get you in trouble though. The shepherd's eyes perked straight up and he cocked his head at the curious mention of getting into trouble with me. Oh, why's that? Well, yeah, I tend to enjoy going places that I'm not supposed to. 'Tis where the good stuff is, after all. The giant smile on Aldric's face told me that he was ecstatic to learn this, no doubt glad to see our rule-breaking adventures that summer had stuck around. I think that I can help you with that a lot. You can thank Misty later. She's one of my friends here. Got this really incredible band that she sings for. Just like you, she's always wanting to go behind locked doors, past the tallest fences. Says it helps her find inspiration for her songs. Knows every inch of this town like the back of her paw. We should plan a little outing sometime. That sounds awesome. So, what else you been getting up to? Well, still working at my folks' grocery store. You've probably seen it, giant ski lodge looking building. But I've been getting more involved with the national park. I want to be a ranger there. School's never been my favorite. You don't want to go pro? Don't get me wrong, I love the game, making crowds happy. I just feel like if I go pro, I won't love it anymore. Can't really say why for sure. Just something in my gut is telling me that I'd hate the next level of it. I can understand that, truly. I feel that way about my films sometimes. Not really sure even with college that I'll ever be good enough for Hollywood. You know how it is. Still doing your films? Of course, not sure that I would stop if I wanted to. Will you let me watch some? The question caused me to tense up for the first time around him, hesitant about what he might think of them. But as the wagging tail continued to thump about, I relaxed more. Yeah, sure. So, did you have a girlfriend back in New Orleans? I think the girls would be all over you. Just look how handsome you are. The compliment left me feeling very hot under the collar. I fixated on my cup of water, anything to avoid potential eye contact again, trying as best as I could to keep my feelings in check. No, I mean, girls would flirt with me a lot, just had my mind on other things, I guess. What about ya? Nah, still single. Besides, girls ain't my thing. The mention of being gay caught me so off guard that I choked on my water, hopping into a napkin, eyes darting around looking for pitchforks and torches, but there were none to be found. No one was even looking. That's not a problem, is it? No, just a little bit of a culture shock is all. People in Louisiana don't exactly go around talking about being, gay out in the open like this. Well, you don't have to worry about that shit here. Everyone is real chill about that kind of stuff in this town. You don't have to fret about hiding stuff from this town or me. My stomach was in knots, still trying to process everything. The incredible, attractive shepherd was gay, single, and so casual about it. Even after being reassured, I was still looking around, certain that someone was going to come over and give Aldric a very stern talking to. With a hard swallow, I pushed down the nerves and glanced back over at Aldric. Really? Totally. And if anyone gives you grief, just let me know. I've got your back. Well, I wanted to say it, to speak the truth in that moment. Years of repression were screaming at me to keep quiet, to not be trusting, but I finally had a chance to speak the truth. Start off on the right paw. That was how I started my morning, and to Aldric, of all people, I had to confess it. I'm... Frick, why is it so hard to say? Aldric wrapped an arm around my back, holding me gently against him. It was a very friendly embrace more than anything else, trying to comfort me in the moment of anxiety I was struggling with. I felt my breath quicken, more aware of how many people were around us. The pressure of the social space was almost unbearable, picturing that an outsider like me probably still wouldn't be accepted, even if Aldric was. I'm glad we're friends again. My whiskers drooped as I spoke the words, darting away from confessing the truth to Aldric, trying to swallow back my disappointment in myself. The shepherd chuckled gently, patting my back. Feelings mutual, Cody. We're gonna have all sorts of fun. Just you wait. That a promise? Absolutely. Though I'll be expecting you to keep me on my toes as well. Aldric hadn't moved his arm. He still had it wrapped around my back. Only now, he seemed to be holding me even closer against him. I wondered if he knew what I wanted to say before. Maybe it was obvious even. So, you find out what dorm is yours yet? No, well, won't have a dorm. Couldn't really afford it. Where are you staying then? Old Pine Motel. But Vincent is letting me live in the apartment above the den. For half wages. Said I can move in it in the morning. You serious? Oh man, that's an awesome place to live. You'll be right in the heart of it all the festivals and little events we have. Hell, having a warm escape during the ice festival will be awesome. Really? Reckon it does sound pretty swell. Be almost like we're back at summer camp, our secret little hangout spot. You want some help getting your stuff over to the apartment in the morning? That'd be great. My arms are still tired from lugging all my bags around. You sure it's no bother? No trouble at all, Cody. I hate to cut stuff short, but I need to get to my shift. I'll swing by the motel around 7, alright? Of course, I'll be waiting. We climbed out of the truck bed and Aldric pulled me into one final hug. This one seemed tighter than the first. I could hear his strong heartbeat, and felt like I could never grow tired of his embrace, before he pulled away with a smile. "See you tomorrow." The shepherd climbed into his truck and headed off, leaving me to bask in the afterglow of the meetup. I knew it was time to head back to the motel. If anything, I wanted to get to bed early, so next morning would come as fast as it could. That hug from Aldric lingered with me. It had felt better than the first, but the pleasant hug wasn't the only thing sticking around. Regret washed over me as I thought about how I should have confessed the truth. Frick, why didn't I just say it? The heck is wrong with me? It's just 2 dang words. Not the end of the world. Tomorrow, I'll tell him. At least someone should know. For the first time in days, I was actually looking forward to tomorrow. Though the impending confession scared me, I was excited for a second chance and to spend more time with Aldric. A spine-tingling chill ran along the nape of my neck, and I came to a stop at the side of the road. In a rather shocking realization, I wasn't sure where I was. I thought that I was following the right way back to the motel. Looking in every direction, I couldn't see any sign of town. No streetlights, no faint murmur of traffic. It was unsettlingly quiet, and the air seemed to be growing colder by the second. Did I take a wrong turn? I must have. Asking myself caused me to realize something far worse. I couldn't remember what direction I'd been coming from. I faced one way, yet in my mind I kept thinking that I'd turn around one moment, or hadn't the next. There was a snapping sound in the dark tree line around me, and I whipped my head to gaze in the direction of the noise. But I couldn't see anything. It was becoming difficult to even make out the trees around me. Hello? Someone out there? My breath was growing visible in the air, wafting upwards into the night. The chill didn't seem to be slowing down. Before I knew it, the cold was becoming painful. I looked around in the trees, trying to desperately spot anything to see light again, some sign of life. But there was nothing, other than a growing darkness seeming to be closing in. Another snap in the woods caused me to stand completely still. If and there's someone out there, say something. How's it getting dark so fast? Panic was setting in. The chill felt like it was starting to grow inside of me, freezing my bones all the way through the marrow. Until something broke through the darkness, a light was dancing across my face, blinding me with each time it grazed my eyes. Squinting, I looked around, trying to find the source shimmering on the ground. I didn't care that there was nothing around to make whatever it was shimmer. It was light in the darkness. I wanted it. Walking the few steps over, I bent over, flicking away a few pieces of gravel around the light, piercing through. A lone penny lay there. It still flickered, though dimmer than before. A penny? Reaching down, I grasped it from the rock, only to be met with a searing pain in my paw, dropping it once. Frick! My frozen fingers had gone from Arctic cold to volcano hot in an instant. My eyes locked onto the coin, which continued to shimmer. I couldn't help myself. It was light. Where there was none, I had to try again. I snatched up the coin, whimpering from the agonizing pain that radiated through my entire paw and seemed to run up my arm. But the pain seemed to be lessening with each passing second. I almost didn't want to look at it, to open my paw and see what surely would be a singed fur and scorched pad, but I just had to know. Unclenching my paw, letting my fingers open, the coin was still agonizingly hot, yet there was no damage around it. The coin just sat there, shimmering, sending burning pain through me. What is this? The coin was clearly quite old. I kept flipping it over, trying to figure out how it was shimmering with no moonlight to reflect. With every flip, I grew more aware of the strange sound, different from whatever lurked in the trees. It was a bare whisper of a noise, but it was there. There was another noise in the tree line, closer than ever before, but I couldn't take my eyes off the coin. As my eyes fixated on this date, I felt a presence around me, something solid looming nearby, watching me, lurking. I snapped my gaze in the direction of the presence. Golden eyes above me met my gaze in the darkness, seemingly connected to no creature, just orbs floating there. I was sure that they were staring right at me. The sight sent me reeling, stumbling backwards, tripping over my own feet, and crashing to the ground. I awoke in a terrible sweat on the floor of the motel room, desperately trying to catch my breath, frantically looking around trying to figure out what was going on. Was it a dream? Wait. When did I get back to the motel? My paw ached, and I had to roll over to free it from under me, staring at the ceiling, waiting for my brain to catch up. As the minutes passed, the ache in my paw wasn't fading. Wondering if I had sprained it, I made for the bathroom sink and flipped on the fluorescent lamp. It looked okay, no fingers out of place. My wrist didn't hurt to move. Everything was fine until I turned my paw over to inspect my pads. The largest pad looked burned, completely charred, but there was a distinct number visible in the damage. Squinting, I could just barely make out the number 1865. Hurriedly, I cut on the faucet and rubbed the pad under the cold running water. As I brushed over the surface, I realized that the damage, along with the number, was gone. Had it even been there in the first place? Grabbing my journal from the nearby dresser, I flipped it open to an empty page. In the lingering haze of sleep, I scribbled down what little I could remember of the fleeting dream. Drawing out a faint impression of the coin I'd picked up and the year, soon flipping off the light to go back to sleep. As I lay in bed once more, I stared at my paw in the faint moonlight, wondering if I was still dreaming, but soon drifting off to an uneasy rest. Come morning, I was up just before 7, freshening myself up before Aldric arrived, briefly disappearing into the motel office, grabbing a pair of oranges from the bowl on the counter. Catching sight of Aldric's truck, I wandered back towards my room, made my heart skip a beat. I motioned to where my room was, and he grabbed the closest spot. The shepherd stepped out of his truck, and my jaw almost hit the gravel at the sight of him. It was standard gym fare, all right, but seeing it on Aldric made me shiver with delight. Morning, Cody. Howdy, Aldric. It took me far longer than I would have liked to move my eyes upwards, away from the bulged shorts and exposed chiseled stomach, smiling at the shepherd before me. Care for an orange? The shepherd gave me a nod and grabbed the one that I offered up. He pulled out a pocket knife, flipping it open with a satisfying shink, starting to peel away the rind. Did old Vincent show you the place yet, or are we going in blind? Flying blind. Said he had to clean it up a bit first. Figured that he'd been using it as storage until now. Aldric cut my orange open for me next, and we sat on the tailgate of his truck enjoying the juicy snack, my long rudder tail draped off to one side, while his bushy tail beat gently against my back. After we get your stuff in, I'll have to head off to work. I appreciate you giving me the lift still. Well, let's get at it and see our first new hangout. Aldric carried my two near-to-bursting duffel bags out of the room, and I took care of my backpack. Soon enough, I was checked out and climbed into Aldric's truck, excited for what lay ahead. We caught sight of Vincent on the sidewalk, quietly going about cleaning the store windows. The wolf's ears perked up at the sound of the truck parking nearby. Morning, Vinny. Pleasant morning to you, Cody. I see that you brought along some help. Good morning, Aldric. Right back at you, Vinny. It's real nice of you setting Cody up like this. I hope that he didn't have to sell his soul or something. The shepherd chuckled, gently patting me on the back. His gaze wandered upwards to the second floor. I could tell that he was just as excited as I was to see my new place. Nothing of the sort, I assure you. Well, let's get to it. Should be enough time to get you settled, Cody. Sounds good to me. Aldric and I grabbed my bags, dipping into the front entrance of Video Den, which Vincent locked behind us, leading towards the back, stepping through another door into the back room. I got you a key from that door over there. Leads straight out to the street. The apartment doesn't have a phone, but there is one on the second floor on its own line. The wolf leads us up to a flight of narrow stairs, stopping at the top to fish out a key ring from his pocket, unlocking the door to my new home. The door swung open, and we were flooded with pleasant warmth of morning light. My whiskers twitched, breathing the strangely appealing musty odor of the old place, finding myself lost in the moment before going in, eyes closed, ears twitching. You all right there, pup? Vincent's voice knocked me out of my trance, and I gave a soft nod, walking past them into the apartment, Aldric close behind. Both our eyes went wide at the sight of the place, hardly looking touched since the place was built. Man, look at this place. Misty's going to lose her mind when she sees your place, Cody. Aldrich kept wandering around, taking it all in. Vincent was close by my side, watching me as I checked everything out, my eyes catching sight of the shelf with a few potted plants on it. You seriously letting me stay here, boss? Of course, pup. It's not much, but I managed to scrounge around a couple of things for you. Those plants there are a gift from me. Look after them, and you'll continue to have some lovely herbs and greenery in here. I don't even know how to begin to thank y'all. Reckon I'll have to work my butt off for you to start. Seriously, Vinny, this is top tier. Thank you for doing this. Next time you come to the store, I'll have you in the friends and family discount, alright? Much appreciated, Aldric. Let me get out of your fur, though. Take your time. Want you on the clock in half an hour, so we can go over the opening procedures. Sounds good? Absolutely. I won't be late. Vincent handed me the keyring. It felt heavy in my paw, like it was giving my body the first feeling of standing on solid ground in a week. Afterwards, he wandered back downstairs, leaving Aldrich and I alone. Check it out. He even got you a TV and a VCR. You think you are for regular movie nights? Heck yeah, man. Of course, you're welcome here anytime you want. So, want to come back over tonight and help me unpack? Could cook you up a nice Cajun dinner, if and you think you can handle something fiery. I don't mind spicy too much. Just be merciful. How about you make me a little list, and I'll bring over some groceries from my folks' store. My treat. That'll be awfully sweet of you. Thanks, Aldrich. The shepherd smiled and went back to wandering around our new hangout. Meanwhile, I took a piece of paper from my notebook, wrote down a small list of groceries. Once done, I handed it over to the shepherd. Shrimp, cornmeal, cayenne, grits. Lots of good stuff. This list sounds like an otter after my own heart. His voice playful yet again, giving me a gentle pat on the shoulder, making me feel hot in the face. Catch you later, Cody. I'll swing back around 6. Looking forward to it. My second shift at work hardly felt like work at all. Vincent ran through the opening procedures with me efficiently. Soon enough, I was back to shelving returns, recommending some of my favorite to customers. Being able to talk in my element made me feel more comfortable with strangers than I expected I could be. I was left in charge of the store for half an hour as Vincent went off to grab us lunch. Sitting behind the counter, I flipped through my sketchbook, thinking about the first week of college that lay ahead. Though I paused as I landed on the page with a sketch of an antique coin, I fixated on its crude details, trying to recall why I had drawn it in the first place. A paw came to rest on my shoulder as I nearly jumped out of my fur, eliciting a startled squeak, quickly calmed by the deep chuckling of Vinny. Sorry about that, pup. You weren't answering, rather spaced out. Vinny set down a takeout bag from the lodgepole, glancing at the sketch of the coin. Is this your art? Yeah, just sketch through, nothing fancy. You can have a thumb through if you're inclined. Vinny took the sketchbook and thumbed through the pages, while I set about unpacking the lunch, a mouth-watering turkey barbecue spread with sides for us to share. These ain't half bad. Looks like you got some storyboarding in there. Little costume design. Very nice. The wolf grabbed some paper plates from under the counter and served up the food for the pair of us, glancing at me as I went back to staring at the coin. Mind if I ask what's so special about that sketch? I don't recall drawing it. Guess it's something that I made up and forgot about. Well, you didn't make it up. Can tell you that much. It's not? Pretty local coin, actually. Back from the early mining days of this town. How do you mean? Isn't it just a penny? Look there. Does that look like the President Lincoln? The face on the coin wasn't even trying to look like the famous Great Dane. Rather, it was the head of a husky. Not even a little. So what? This town had its own currency? For a short while, when it was first incorporated. The founder was pretty strict about keeping the wealth local and outside of the government taxation. Can't imagine that ended well for him. How do you know all this? The town has a little museum section in the library, some of the old currency, local relics. Reckon that I should check it out sometime. The conversation had me looking over at the sketch with more confusion, curious as to how I would have known that such a coin could look like in the first place. Well, don't let lunch get cold. The wolf chuckled, eyeing me curiously before setting about eating his food. I happily dug in as well, enjoying the well-smoked and seasoned turkey breast. The rest of my shift was fairly uneventful, and just as I clocked out at 6, I spotted Aldric waving at me from the street. Making my way outside, he smiled, giving me a pat on the back. I helped him carry the bags of groceries in. Geez, thank you, Aldric. You didn't have to get me so much. Sure I did. Gives you one less thing to worry about while you settle in. Don't go in that one box though. It's a little surprise for me. We walked around the back and made for my new apartment. I hadn't set a foot inside since we dropped my bags off that morning. I still can't believe Vinny got you situated like this. Who am I kidding? Vinny's one of the nicest guys in town. I barely know him and he's already been making me feel right at home. I went about unpacking the groceries, putting the cold stuff in the fridge, dry goods on the counter until I could figure out how I wanted to organize things. These are some mighty plump shrimp. They'll do just fine for dinner. How about I get food started? Then you can help me unpack. How does that sound? Works for me. I skipped lunch today. Sounded like the dinner that you had planned would make me lose my belt if I didn't. The comment caused me to chuckle and briefly made my eyes wander southward on the shepherd. Anything that I can help you with in the kitchen? Sure. Mind grating the block of cheese for me? Aldric gave me a nod, tail thumping against my side as he stood next to me. In no time at all, I had Garth's famous Gruyere biscuits and Cajun honey roasted carrots in the oven, grits bubbling away, turkey bacon slowly rendering in the cold skillet, with shrimp blackened and ready to fry up at the end. The whole studio was quickly growing fragrant with real Cajun cooking, and it seemed to make Aldric's tail endlessly swish back and forth in a slow pace, excited by what he had coming his way. Man, that smells amazing! We might even give Devin a run for his money. Devin? My other close friend here. Misty, Devin, and I are pretty much thick as thieves since preschool. Devin wants to go to be a chef. He's usually the one cooking for Thanksgiving for all three of our families. I think you two will get along well. He sounds nice. Reckon that I'll try to make a good first impression. The shepherd patted me on the shoulder, a warm smile on his face. Don't overthink it too much. Devin's a pretty relaxed guy. Nodding my head gently, I set a timer to remind me when to start the shrimp, and head for the bed, lugging my 3 bags up onto it. You can go through that one, if you don't mind. Mostly, it's just the art supplies that I could fit in, and photos. Aldric gave me a nod, starting to go through the bag, while I set about tucking my clothes away in the dresser. He paused when he comes upon the picture of my friends and I. These your friends in New Orleans? Yeah, that's Tobin there, and the gator is Liam. That was our last day together before I had to catch the bus to come here. You make for a good-looking group. I take it that they shared a thirst for adventures? The question made me smile, thinking about everything that we'd done over the years, from our movies to finding new secrets in the city and just catching up after school. Absolutely, though that one summer with you had a pretty good influence on it. Was right after that we decided to make our first movie in a place that we shouldn't have been in. Lockpicks? Yeah, you'll fit in just fine with us. Just wait until you see all the secrets this town has. But that's spoilers. You'll have to wait for now. There was a look of frustrated disappointment on my face, which caused Aldric to chuckle. Even now, he remembered how excited I got for the secrets that he wanted to share. So, is this all your stuff? Parents coming up with more later? The question caused a lump in my throat and made my stomach feel a little off. Well, no. I don't have a home to go back to in Nolans. My pa kicked me out. Aldric stood tall when he heard this, making me think of Liam and Tobin standing up for me in the end, wanting to be there to tell my asshole of a father off. Why the hell would he kick out someone great like you? Well, my pa always had plans for me. My mom said that he had it all worked out before I was even born. In my last semester, he told me that I needed to start applying for Catholic colleges. I looked at the floor in shame. The way my father brought me up was something that was hard for me to shake. I told him that I wasn't interested in Catholic school. He really just dropped it on you out of the blue? I always suspected that he would, just hoping for the best, I guess. But that's not the worst part. Told me that he would only pay for Catholic teaching. If I didn't go to one, well, he told me that I ain't his son. Aldric huffed loudly at the thought of the conversation, one of his paws balled slightly into a fist. I could hardly imagine what the large shepherd would have said to my father. Catholic school that bad? For me it is. This was my moment. It had to be. At least we were alone this time, and I wasn't willing to keep secrets from Aldric. Maybe we hadn't known each other all that long, but I felt as close to him as I did Liam and Tobin. I wanted to tell you last night. It's just, anytime that I want to say the words, it's like I'm about to get struck by my paw's belt again. Heck, even alone here, it's still hard for me to say. Aldric took a seat on the bed, patting the empty spot next to him. I took a seat and he wrapped an arm around my back, holding me in a way that truly made me feel safe. It's okay, Cody. Just us here. Whatever you gotta say, don't be afraid. I would never let someone strike you just for speaking the truth. I'm gay. My words were whispered. I knew that they were true, but I had no confidence in speaking them, staring at the floor as if expecting some form of harsh judgment still. Thank you for sharing that with me. I mean it. Am I really the first person that you've ever told? Not even your friends know? You're the only one that I've ever come out to. Much as I love my friends, I was scared of what they would think of me. I thought I'd feel bad telling someone, but I just feel happy. Reckon the way that I feel right now is because you was always meant to be the first one to know. Aldric looked hot in the face over the level of trust that I offered him. That confident smile soon returned, clearly glad that he was the first to know. I had a feeling after yesterday, pretty sure that I wasn't the only one letting those hugs go on for so long. The shepherd chuckled, playfully patting me on the back. He stood proudly in front of me, and I swore that he was even flexing a little. Was it really that obvious? Honestly, I wouldn't say that it was. I think that you've just been keeping it a secret for so long that most probably couldn't tell, but the way that you acted after I said that I was gay, that's when I knew. I'm sorry that I didn't tell you last night. Just all those people around, I couldn't bring myself to do it. Relax, Cody. I understand completely. I won't tell anyone else. That's your choice to make, okay? Gently nodding my head, I smiled up at him. For the first time in years, taking a breath of fresh air I didn't know that I'd been in desperate need of. I don't know if I'll have the courage to tell anyone else, but at least he knows. He deserves it. We went back to unpacking my things, though only a few moments later Aldric spoke up again. Is this? He pulled out a geode, the very one that he'd given me on the last day of summer camp so long ago. It was the most well-cared for thing that I had, which was saying a lot considering it was a rock. Same one. Mine was a little dud after all. Aldric held the geode under the lamplight, twirling it in his paws, watching the crystals glimmer. In my gut, I was sure of what I saw in his eyes, that me keeping the geode around after our letters stopped meant as much to him as it did to me. Where should I put it? What about with the plants? Should look nice, catching sunlight most of the day. Aldric gave me a nod and placed it on the top shelf next to one of the pots. It didn't take us long to finish sorting things out. Just then the kitchen timer went off. I hurried back to the stove to get the shrimp started. My ears twitched at the sound of Aldric opening the box that he'd brought along. Don't look over my way. The shepherd playfully cautioned me, so I kept my attention on the dinner, pulling the cheesy biscuits from the oven, placing each one on a small serving plate. Ladling grits onto the plate, placing 5 shrimp in each, and sprinkling with chopped pork bacon. All right, I'll carry the... Whoa, damn, that food looks good. The shepherd was practically drooling, eyeing the heartily planted dinners on the counter. It took him a couple of seconds to remember what he was trying to say. I'll set the table. No peeking, all right. It only took him 2 trips out of sight to carry all the food away before he walked back over, stepping behind me. He covered my eyes with one of his paws, resting the other on my left shoulder. "What are you doing?" "I don't want you to peek. Just trust me, alright?" "I trust you." Aldric led me out of the kitchen, no hesitation in my steps. I could tell that he was leading me all the way to the table by the window. He kept my eyes covered as he pulled out a chair and helped me sit down. "Just one more second, then you can look." I heard the other chair pull out before the shepherd took a seat. "Alright, open your eyes." My eyes fluttered open. The first thing that I caught sight of, save for the dinner, was an oil lamp with an amber glass base, the flame dancing inside the globe, casting the pair of us in its warmth glow. Aldric looked even more striking in the gentle light, and the big smile on his face was so heartwarming. "It's beautiful. Thank you, Aldric." "It's one of my favorites. Got a bit of a collection of them back at my folks' house." "I love it, truly." "Always good to have an oil lamp around these parts, especially during the winter." "Don't know why, but the food lit under the light like this looks even more appetizing. Let's tuck in." Aldric gave an enthusiastic nod, buttering up a biscuit before dipping into the dinner. There was hardly a word spoken between us. A pleasant, steady thumping sound accompanied the entire meal, Aldric's tail beating a mile a minute against the window, lost in the heat and the deep flavor of my cooking. By the time that it was all over, the shepherd had leaned back on his chair, while I helped myself to one final biscuit. "That was some of the best food that I've had all year. Trust me, you and Devin will be fast friends for sure now." "I'm glad that you enjoy it." "Hey, if you don't mind staying for a little longer, I got a movie for us to watch." "I'd love to stay. Is it one of yours?" Standing from the table, I started clearing the dishes. "Nah, I need to phone Tobin. Let him know that I got a place for him to mail my equipment to. He's keeping it safe." "I'd still love to watch something, though." It only took a few minutes to get the dishes washed, and soon enough, I was sliding a tape into the player, cutting on the TV before plopping down on the couch. Aldrich sat close to me, though not quite touching. He was close enough that I could enjoy his calming scent. The pair of us sitting in pleasant silence as the opening for The Shining rolled, our stomachs heavy with a plentiful meal, hearts warmed with a renewed friendship and excitement for whatever the future had planned for us. Ah, ow, my back. So, that was the first chapter of Northern Lights. Druzy. To be continued. So, what did you guys think? Did you guys like... sorry. Did you guys like, Aldric? Obviously, you can tell pretty much the whole sprites stuff are going to be done by Haps mostly. I think some of the other art is going to be done by one of the other artists. Does it show on here? Nope. What's bonus? Ah, the art. So, yeah. Some of the other art is going to be done by some of the other artists, but most of the sprites are going to be Haps. So again, if you remember, Haps is the sprite artist for Ad Astra and some of the other Echo Project stuff, along with Cleaved. Also, this is the coin. It would have been nice if they had like shown the sketchbook with this on there, but I'm pretty sure... Well, no. Who knows, maybe that'll be implemented later. A sketch of the camp memories. No, I wanted to go back on the page, not back there. This is some of the concept art. I had already seen this a while back. If I recall, the story is supposed to be kind of slice of lifey, which for me is not something that I personally like. But it's supposed to include some other interesting aspects, which I like. So, hence why I'm reading it. Plus, it's a new visual novel. You guys always like new visual novels. So yeah. Northern Lights. I like the whole little title image that they have right here, because it kind of makes it look like it's either a postcard or kind of like one of those faded, well, quote unquote faded, like, what's that, like aluminum steins that that you can buy like at a store, or that you might find sometimes when you're like passing by a particularly colorful town or state. What else? It's a nice picture. What I am interested in is the whole the whole like the whole coin thing, specifically if it's gonna be hinting to what's going on, because if you're in Montana, you're in the middle of the woods, so there's probably stuff going on there. And as the story and Aldric was basically hinting, there are mysteries to this whole town, which I'm assuming is what the story's going to be about. So that's one of like the selling points for me, and I'm hoping that it really leans into that. There will be probably NSFW stuff, because there is an safe for work mode which I have set up. So yeah. Anyways, so, you know, write down in the comments what you think so far of this new visual novel, and thank you all for watching / listening. If you would like to play Northern Lights yourself, you can do so by going down into the link in the description for their Twitter page, which should have a direct link to the itch.io page where you can download it and, you know, play it yourself. Or you can just go to itch.io yourself and download it there, you know, in case Twitter has imploded on itself. And yeah. Maybe I should just make like a document or something that you guys can just click on, and it shows all the visual novels that I have and like links to where to download them. That would probably be very, very easy. I think I could probably do that. It shouldn't be that hard. Maybe like have it on my what's it called? My link tree, and then just have like a document there with the links. Anyways, if they have any form of like Patreon or Coffee, I will also be linking that down in the description in case you want to support them. And along with my Coffee, you know, in case you want to keep supporting. And don't worry, I know this is a new visual novel that's popping up before the other one, you know, Soul Creek. So that one will be popping up soon. I just need to keep reading more and more. I did not realize how long Soul Creek was. I'm barely on day 2 as of this time of recording, and it's already 7 hours. That's a lot. But, you know, you guys donated, so I am doing it for you guys. But this is kind of a good break. Anyways, so yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I guess that's it for now, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.